Hello, friends. Something on my mind, something I want to share. Something that I've been thinking about heavily and very strong. Thoughts, to me, is something when I wake up and before I go to bed and during the day. What I've been thinking about is self cultivation and what's in the way of self cultivation for people with mood swings or trauma. I'd like to point out that trauma varies. What kind of subjective thing about that in life? People are going to validate what you think is trauma or what your problem is, or they're going to invalidate it. And it's, hey, it's get on with what you have, get on. A lot of times you'll hear people say, yeah, well, think about the people that are going through horrible things right now. Well, that's invalidating. I think they mean well, though, a lot of times. It's, hey, buck up. Get over whatever the fuck you're getting on about. I don't want to hear about it. So there's the self. So then you're by yourself. You're not really going to get it from other people because they have their own problems, which sounds cliche. I have my own problems. Cliche. Why is there an issue with self-cultivation? There's some people out there that have some big-time talent. I notice some of these people, and I say to myself, they're holding back. There's things in the way. They're talking about how family wants this and that from them in their videos, and they have. Someone's coming to mind right now that I found last night. A young gal. She's sitting on a chat thing, some kind of, I don't know what, TikTok or whatever. I don't know. I don't use it, so I don't know. And she's getting dollars sent to her. And people saying, hey, check out my art and all this stuff. And she's accepting dollars. And she has this amazing talent. It's too obvious, and they know it. And it's people peeping in to get something from you. They're using her outlet. She's using the outlet, and they're using the outlet. And they know that they're getting through to her, and they know that there's something that they can get from her. And I already know that commercial and corporate will get a hold of her and use her up. They'll spit her out, as they do with everyone. How many people have you found on YouTube that have talent and they're held back by themselves? And when I say talent, I do not mean that you're not important or that you're not special in your own way. When I'm talking about talent, I'm talking about it's undeniable. And you and I both know that when someone has talent, it's undeniable. And it strikes me as in a defensive type way. I get a defensive mode where I'm thinking, what about this person? And I get very critical of this person. Well, what about myself? I can be critical about myself whoever I am, whatever kind of talent I have, whatever kind of skill I have, whatever kind of value or worth that I have in my skin and in my flesh, if I'm gonna go on in life and I've got to stress to myself, I've got to be able to convey that if I watch a video about narcissistic whatever, it splashes me. It hits me pretty hard. It's just a bit of a shock to my psyche, to my psychomatter, where I'm thinking to myself, oh, hang on. Am I selfish? Because I have memories from my childhood where my mother would say to me, "You're selfish. You're a selfish person." Well, realizing the truth that my mother had a daycare and she had some 8, 9, 10 kids in our place, and this is something that's I consider traumatic because it was a neglect. And I look back on that and she was telling me that I was selfish. So she was directing me in the way of being submissive to her selfishness. So whenever someone's telling you that you're selfish, take a good look at them and ask yourself, what is it that they want? What is it that they need? 99% of the time, it's going to be, hang on a second. How come they're telling me that I'm selfish, and how come they have this big, huge house? How come they have that really nice car? How come, and this is a point, are you going to go, let's say you go into the hood, where people's people meet and gather, and these are your human beings that are possibly the most humble people that you'll ever know. They might not have extraordinary intellect. They might not have things that you can take from so much. If you go to these places, are these people going to be going around saying, "Hey, you're selfish. You're selfish because you do this. You're selfish because you do that"? If there's any monitoring, or let me repeat that so I say it properly, monitoring of human behavior, it's usually people that have more, and they want you to submit to them so that way they can direct you to do what they want. So they're manipulating you. Some of the things I say might strike as bold or might piss you off a little bit, because then you've got to reflect on some of the things that you think of. And I've got to do this with myself. I've got to be critical of myself. So if I'm going through a situation where I'm saying, hang on a second, this is what I am, or hang on a second, this is what I'm not, there's got to be that BIOS check. I've got to have some kind of rationality about my person. I also have to have rationality about the people that surround me. And I've got to have rationality about humanity and what humanity thinks of others when there is capitalism, when there is the possibility that someone can do heinous things psychologically to other people. And this is partially from intellect, where they can take advantage of other people and they can rip them up. And I posed the question, why is there the person that has more nuts in their tree than someone else that has no nuts? And then the hawk comes and gets the little squirrel that is missing a leg. True story. I I had a squirrel that was coming around that didn't have a leg, and it didn't come around for long. And I also out the window watch hawks come and go after the squirrels, and the squirrels wrapping around the trees, and the hawks viciously going at it for a good 2 hours in the morning. It's always in the morning. Hawks love to hit in the morning when the squirrels are on E. How is it any different for certain types of personalities that are predatory, that have that have excess in their lives, and as miserable and as sad as they are in whatever area they are? How about the person who's full of joy in life that's in the hood? It's a question I've got to ask myself numerous times, all the time. I've got to ask myself that all the time. Why is that person so happy? And why is that person so miserable? Why am I miserable? Why am I happy? Why am I happy today? Well, I know I know I'm a moody person, so it kind of comes and goes. It's a roller coaster. I get to go on the ride. I get to go on the ride however it may or dismay. I get spit out every day. I get spit out in my dreams at night. I get spit out in my affection or my affections, my caring for other people, when people care about me, how I spit them out. So I've got to do something with myself where I say to myself, hold on, what about me? So that's a massive question. Am I selfish? Or is there certain moods that I'm in where I'm more selfish or defensive? Am I taking care of myself? Is this a defensive stance? Or am I being offensive? Am I sharing? Am I caring? What am I getting closer to? Is there some kind of light coming through? If I shed my skin, which I'm going to do from time to time, if this is mood swings, I come through as an animal. I'm a snake or I'm a spider, and I compare myself to animals. I compare myself to how birds don't hoard, how spiders stand still in their little area. They don't have to go far, and they get everything that they're going to do. They cast their web, and they just hang out. And the coyote, the mangy coyote that's always running around over by my park over here, that I seem to notice quite often, is always looking mangy. It's still alive. What's the separation? How am I taking care of myself? What's the line between sharing and caring for others when I notice a lot of wide to receive taking? A mortal puzzle. It seems, and I hate puzzles. The kind you put on tables. I like them in video games, not on tables. The ones you spread out and you put together. I hate those fucking things. If I want to picture I'll just go straight to a picture. I don't need to put it together on a table. I understand there's some kind of meditating, calmness, relaxation to that. It's just not one thing that I dig that does have to do with things like that. How do I accept myself as who I am? And anything I've been through is going to be subjective. So if I'm crying tears, that's subjective. If it's beyond me, that's a subjective thing. If I say this and this is turmoil, or this and this is a hard thing, well, another person will say, no, silly boy, that's an easy thing, monkey. Someone, on the other hand, can be sitting in their backyard for 2 weeks, scratching their head on what's the matter with the lawnmower? What's the matter with me? And why is there tension between a realization of other people that can go through who knows what and still say, zippity doo, da day, I can get through whatever. It just doesn't matter because they've got some kind of psycho matter situation, and they're not there's no addictions, there's no mood swings, there's no nothing. They're pretty constant, and they're elevating, and they're going pretty well, and they do real well with media, anxiety. They do real well with what's coming in and what's going out. The people that are around them, they keep things pretty simple. They've got their mama around, they've got their dada around, they've got their good buddies coming around, and I mean, you could take a crap right on their head, and it just doesn't matter. They are set. They're set mentally, and they know who they are. They know what they want, and what I notice these people, I really notice it. I notice that these people are far beyond a lot of other human beings. Most people are going to say, no, that's not really the height of humanity. I'm saying questionable. I'm saying what is the height of humanity in the true rich person? And still, some of these people that have this, I'd say, quality or life skill, born to be, they're still, I noticed that they're still manipulated by other people. You have back doctors that'll do corrective spinal surgery 20 times on a person. That's so accepting. I think of a lot of people that I look at that have that personality, that characteristic, and they still have these hawks, these eagles coming in to get their feed, which is excess. Someone I know, I won't say who it is, was telling me, because they're in the medical area, that a doctor was kind of sad about how he paid $150,000 to have a deck put in his backyard. And he was kind of bummed talking about it, as if it wasn't really his decision. $150,000. Skrilla. No. Whatever you want to say. I mean, $150,000 would go quite a ways for someone in the hood. Someone in the hood could have 10 years of Good Friday nights with $150,000. And here's a doctor who's saying, oh, I just got a deck for in the backyard for $150,000. Wow. That's quite a deck. I'm not going to compare that to being able to get a place, because you're not going to get a place for $150,000 now. Yeah, maybe if you look real good. How are we getting closer to being cooler to ourselves, more friendly to ourselves with the mood swings? No doubt that people that are not moody, that have more consistency towards themselves, well, they'll do all right. And they do, and we know that. What about the people that are not in that situation from birth up to death? What about the people that cut themselves? What about the people that go out on Friday night and sleep with 4 or 5 guys or women? Or think that they need to have an entire sleeve tattoo done as fast as possible. Or someone that thinks that they've got to, level up in a way. They've got to be a certain way to be accepted by society. What about you, though? What about continuing on, though, beyond that? What about your existence? I can go a lot of ways with this topic. I can get destructive with this topic, talking about it. I'm feeling very constructive at the moment. And I am really thinking, if you yourself are in a situation, which is going to come often with mood swings, and you're holding back on what you can do for yourself because you've watched videos that talk about narcissism or spotting this type of person or whatever. I've seen people walking down the street wearing dresses that are clearly males, and they are being what they were born to be, and whatever kind of flack they're going to get in that day isn't going to matter, because they are doing what they need to do for them. The same as a person that will go through extreme alterations to their bodies so that way they can fit the gender in their mind to their bodies, so that way they can live and feel at one with themselves. Are they selfish? Well, stay tuned to the future where people are going to say, I don't know, that's maybe selfish, or who knows what media will chomp on and rip apart, because that'll take people more and more towards alterations, tattoos, sexual changes. This brings something away from you to an entity where you need to fit in. If a person really needs something, though, and they're in tune with themselves, and they say, okay, this is what I want. I want breast implants. I want to make my mind match my body. And other people do not understand that. And they get flack from sectors, they get from media, from whatever. And some people, they cannot take this. And then it's the end of their life. They take their lives because they cannot take, that they cannot accept this furthering into this valley of yourself. If you cannot be yourself, what are you to others? So it's yin and yang. I'm doing things for myself. I'm going to get flack from other people no matter what, because that's personalities coming through. So I really admire people that shine in doing things that they are doing for themselves, for their own selves. And so the narcissistic thing, in my opinion, is kind of a media thing. It's not a dismissal of parents that neglected their children. It's not a dismissal of a spouse that neglected other people's wants. Because they were doing something for themselves. So it's a real sensitive, a real fragile discussion of why people will go back and forth. Why will people be divorced 5 times? Why will people be smitten for life? Why will people do anything and everything for others? And that's an issue. Why is there some people that will walk out into the ocean and swim around? And why are there some people that will not touch the ocean? Why are there some people that are only wanting something to do with animals and nothing to do with humans? Just have cut it off. Just said, fuck it. I'm thinking of my grandmother, who will pass away very soon. Why? Why is there an issue with a human being where they've got to cut themselves, they've got to cut their legs, they've got to cut their stomachs, they've got to cut their arms, they have to cut people out of their lives, they've got to bring certain horrible things into their lives, they've got to bring toxic substances into their lives, they've got to get approval from the hardships with hard people. So if I'm around a person who says insulting things, and I'm thinking, no, I've got to win them over. Do you? It's understandable that there's stigma there, that this person is not okay, and that's skewed. What about all the people that are doing something? What about that one person? And there's always some kind of example of some kind of one person type thing where someone's completely an asshole. And then that leaches over into the perspective of other people, media, where other people are that. You're this, you're that, you're demonizing, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece, so scatter it out. Label everyone, make everyone this or that. What's the difference between this human and this human and this human and that human and that animal and that animal? Yeah. is that? That's Leon, the parakeet. And Napoleon, the conure. What do you have to say? Oh? Yeah? They hear me, so they have things to say too. They have a voice. They have things they want to say. My conure, if he sees me crying, mood swing people, if he sees me crying, he will be attentive. He'll basically saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because he knows, "Oh, are you okay?" From our conversations with each other. When he falls down off the cage and hits the bottom, I hate saying cage, because I don't want them to be. That's why I won't get any more birds. I don't want them caged. I don't like that. I usually call it their bed. I don't want them bound the same as we are. Thanks, Petco. PetSmart. Fuckers. My niece has a snake that she calls her little baby. I've never been a snake person. She is. She likes snakes. Isn't that interesting? How one person doesn't dig snakes, it fears them, whatever. And she's perfectly fine, holds it, whatever. It's an albino corn snake. And now it's big. She took real good care of it now. And she's perfectly fine with putting life into the area, a mouse. So my sister, she's got to go and get these mice, probably real consistently, to take care of her daughter's needs. I was impressed when my sister said, "Yeah, the snake's still alive." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting." A corn snake will, as far as my niece was saying, because she was letting me know information that the snake can get out easily. They're real good at getting out, and they're not a constrictor. So the fear, the alarming effect of a snake wrapping around your neck and choking you to death, which happens from boa constrictors, pythons, is not really a concern from a corn snake. Are we a concern? Are we escapees just wanting to get the fuck away from nonsense, or what? What were we born as? Are we all humans? It's this species categorizing. Maybe we need to start doing some kind of species categorizing where this human is not actually human. This is what this is, and this is what this is, and what this is. And really getting away from just being humans. There might be people in New York that are constricting, boa constrictors, and there might be people in Switzerland that are boa constrictors, and there might be people in rural Iowa that are corn snakes. Just want to get out, want to get away. Who's feeding them? Who's feeding them mice? And then there's the the rattlesnake, some of my family members will go out and just shoot them. And it's what's kind of strange about that is the rattler. Hey, just stay away from me. A rattler doesn't go up to you, and it's not a predator to go up to you. Yeah, they probably go down inside of mouse holes and eat the mice and all that. Still, they're not going to trouble. They're not going to something that's bigger than them. They're keeping their own ground, and thus an interesting creation that a rattler has fucking rattlers. Something to think about creation, about how something was created. It clearly has something there that rattles to let you know, hey, fuck off. You got to step on it. You got to step real close to a rattler or a diamondback or whatever down in Texas to get bit. And I've seen people online that hold a rattler to their face just because they want it. They want that. They want the views. Whatever. They want the video. And they get bit in the face by a rattler that will kill them. Venomous. Are we okay? Are we okay with ourselves? Can we get on with ourselves? That's a lifelong question. What keeps you between what people are saying, what you are, and your capabilities? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not. Oh, mom and dad really crapping on whoever, or brothers and sisters shitting on their brothers and sisters. Why? Why are they doing that in the first place? Is there some kind of contingency there? What's going to keep you from caring about you? So what do you do about it? How does a person cultivate themselves? And when I was writing down my topics that I wanted to talk about, as I was writing down cultivation, I got a problem with cultivation. Cultivating humans. Utah, maybe. I get to thinking, what is this? Cultivating myself? Why am I going to cultivate myself? I don't want to cultivate myself. I want to individualize myself. I want to get away from motherfuckers. I want to get away from cult. I want to get away from you're bad. I want to get away from that. I want to get away from you've done this, you've done that. I want to get away from that. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And this goes across the board in the mental part. We're talking everything that has to do with sexuality, which is a big thing. Love, being loved, friendship, being a friend to me. These are big issues with cultivation. I'm even saying to myself, I don't know, man. I don't know about this cultivation thing. I'm not into it. I don't want to be cultivated. I don't want to be some kind of produce. in the field. I don't want to be a little seed that makes whatever for other things. I don't want that myself. So what if I do things for myself? Am I narcissistic? Think about the defense mechanism. Think about the defense levels of someone that is that way. I'm not going to say why a person is that way. I'll say, think about the defense mechanisms of where you got to go through check after check after check. Okay. Not okay. How is that skewed? Your okay, not okay factors in life. Who's coming in? Who's going out? Are you, and people are going to let you know this. Who is telling you what's what? What do they have to gain? And that's a point. What do they have to take from you? That's a point. And then if you're selfish and you're a narcissist, how do we have an issue there? That's where the narcissist thing is a real issue with me. I look at my entire life of people wanting and needing and taking, and myself needing and wanting and taking. It's an accumulating situation where we've got to get to a point where we can say, this is who I am. This is who they are. What's the mix? What's the mix between what I am, what I was born to be, and what they were born to be? And what is it that they want? And what is it that I want? What they want, what I want. I had to take a break there. To sum it all up, if you are having issues with you and you're using other people as a standard as to what you are, then we already are defeated. We're already used, abused, thrown into the wind. That's the way you're going to go. Now for a second, what if I was to say to myself, this is what I am. This is what I'm going to do. And this is how I want it to be. Then that is a unique human being. Now challenge that against millions of people, maybe billions. What do you have? Followers. What do followers do? Followers are, think of credit cards. Think of APR. Think of what you're going to have to do to be what you're not. Think of it that way. For those that say, I want this, I want this, I want this in life. How much does it have to do? He's singing. How much does that have to do with your self-love? And self-love is it's a toughie. It's rough. It's not a simple thing. It's subjective, self-love. What other people think about you is subjective. You could do anything. You could eat shit You can do anything you want to do. I get off on that kind of. I can do whatever I want to do. And that's fantasy. And reality. I don't know about you. That's a perfect recipe. Whatever I want to do is fantasy and reality coming together. I can do whatever I want to do. Yeah, there's what's going to come from that. Hey, Leon. He's excited. He has things to say. Now he's eating. Back to eating. Okay. You can do whatever you want to do. I mean, I could jump into a lake of fire. I could go to a volcano right now and jump in it. And I've seen videos. I think I've seen a video where a guy jumped into a volcano. Fuck it. Just jumped into a volcano. Maybe he was saying to himself, hey, you know what? I could jump into a volcano. I have enough dough right now to fly to Hawaii and just jump into a fucking volcano. And I can pay someone who's oblivious to film me jump into a volcano. I've seen all kinds of whack shit online. It was really, really wild stuff to question humanity, what we are. And no doubt you have too, no doubt. We don't talk about it in public because it's not cool. It's not cool to talk about things that are true to ourselves. It's better just to fake it till you make it. To where? What came to my mind was Dogville, the movie. Fake it till you make it to Dogville or Pleasantville. So think about how you can shine. Think about how you can take that monster that you are, or that animal that you think of yourself as, with all this static letting you know that, no, this is just what you are. You're just this. You're just that. Maybe, and I think a lot of talented people that have a lot of talent might chew on this for a little bit. Hang on a second. Instead of receiving these $1 tips from people wanting quite a bit, maybe set the parameter at $100. Maybe set it at nothing and go do your own thing and get way more out of life. Probably. Because as long as you're chewing on other people's game, what are you going to be? What are you going to know in life? If you're constantly thinking that you've got to do what other people are wanting or needing. I was thinking about the family entity. I was thinking about the pressure on a mother and a father thinking about myself. And when I think about my mother and my father, if there's anything I've said about my mother and my father that's maybe made them think dismay, if they ever run into these videos by coming in and looking at my phone without me knowing it, I understand pressure. I understand that even they had to make a decision many times with this entity that they made a choice on, years ago. So they've got to keep up with this thing that they've decided on at a younger age. Same with marriage. So they've got to keep up with this. And I think that's one of the things about forgiveness with my parents. And about forgiveness with my friends and with myself is at a younger age where I didn't know as much as I know now. I've got to forgive them and myself for that reason. You've got to give yourself a little bit of room there to understand that you are going to go further up in life for the better, if you can go up, if you want to go up, if you need to go up, if you were born to go up. What's the contingency between me and my mother and my father that were going through certain things in certain times of their life that were behind us in the growing factor? And this is why you need to love yourself. And if you hear anything about narcissistic, or if you hear anything about selfishness, or not caring enough about other people, look at them first before you look at yourself. Look at what they have and look at what you have. If you're straggling behind, think about that. Understand, the balance book of, accountants will probably realize what I'm saying. Who is taking from who? Who wants from who? And how are you possibly more valuable than you realize? Are you more valuable than you realize? I think we all are, because everyone is looking out to get something. So, more or less, you are bait. I look at life as I am now at 41, as I am being used as a human being. And there's no way of getting around that. There's no way of getting around that. What I do know is that I have emotions. I have, regardless of mood swings, I have emotions. I have an identity. And I do know that I am a conscious being. I understand this. And this is not something that can be taken away from me unless someone kills me. This is not something that can be taken away from me. I have a conscious ability to say for myself that this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do with myself, and I'm going to feed off of that. And if I wake up and I say I'm going to do something for someone else, then I'm going to go with that. If I say I'm going to make a video such as this, and I'm going to put it out there to the public, to strangers, I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to share, because sharing makes me feel good. So I have a purpose. If I have a purpose, then there's substance. If I've created something or a substance that makes me feel better about life, then I know that I'm feeling better about myself. When I hear things about narcissism, you're not good enough, or all the times in my life I've been rejected, which make sense, because this is the rules of attraction. This is the attraction machine that lifts people up into the sky to die. I like that. And they love it. Whoever these people are, they love it. What about you, though? What about the human that doesn't think they're good enough? What about the human that thinks that they've got to eliminate themselves because they're not good enough? They've watched 30 hours of American Idol and they're feeling very shitty about themselves because there's this proposition that you maybe can do these things. You maybe can be funny. You maybe can sing. I'm saying nay, that there's more to life than thinking that you have to be talented, that you have to be skilled. There is a connection between one human to the other. There's a connection of happiness. We're talking basics. Basic human dopamine. Happiness, friendship, love, caring, giving, sharing. These are things that are not going to be on your TMZ. These are things that are not going to be on your feed. These are things that are not going to be on your Twitter. You're not going to say happiness, share, care, give. Township. Spending time with your. They're not going to say this. It's not going to happen. It's not something that's viably advantageous to gathering for a small group. It's not going to happen. So you got billions of people that are not going to get any of that. And then you've got that small group that will, indirectly, through deceit. What are we going to do for ourselves that carries us to a point where we are fulfilled in more ways than one, in ways that have to do with just the brain. Just the brain getting and receiving good things that goes out to other brains to where they're receiving and getting good things. What do we have to do? Maybe a message that's not in line with capitalism. Possibly. Because if you look at capitalism, it's the opposite. It's just me. What can I do for me? Me. My children, my loves, my husband that I'm gonna divorce, or my wife that I'm gonna divorce, or my children that I'll maybe spend a couple hours with a week. Because I've got nannies and everything else. Riches upon riches. Ditches upon ditches. Eh? So I'm going to end this before an hour. Thanks for listening.